welcome back to the MindSets podcast. We are back home.
We are, yeah.
It's a little bit different. I did like the room, I won't lie. It felt nice to have an away day.
It did, yeah. It was fun.
We're gonna, if you guys liked it, then we're gonna play around potentially with some few options at the moment. If you prefer this, then tell us. We're used to this.
I think also if you have no idea what we're talking about, go back and watch the last episode.
Such a valid point. That's great co-hosting for you there. Guys, welcome back. It is episode 77. We say this most times, we are motoring through them.
We are, yeah.
How are you doing, Charles?
I'm going for like a more rugged look. I don't know if you've noticed. I'm growing out the facial hair.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Come for the beard. I like it.
I'm trying hard. Someone said to me earlier, she was like, that's the first stage or sign of someone who's just given up.
So are you 29 years into this? At this point, yeah.
Oh, yeah. She's like, you look unclean.
You have to go through that phase.
Exactly.
If you had seen what I look like in my unclean phase,
Yeah.
it was worth it.
We can only
It was
dream.
worth it.
One day, maybe.
Okay, so the way we start every episode off,
Yep.
we've got news.
We do.
2-minute news.
2 minutes of it, yeah.
2 minutes of it. Do you want me to start the timer, or are you going to start us off?
I'll start us off, you start the timer.
Okay. Time starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Big one, and my favourite one is there's a kid from New Zealand called Sam Ruth, who is 16 years old, and he ran a 3:48 mile.
That is absurd.
Like absurd. I think it was 3:48.8, and he set a new under 18 world record. Like mind-blowing speeds. Hopefully he hasn't peaked too early, and we'll see lots of him from the future.
Fantastic. You started to speed up there because you saw me check my watch.
Yeah.
I'm going to go. I'm going to steal from you. Lewis Hamilton and Kim Kardashian are dating.
No, they're not.
They are.
They're not.
Well,
We're gonna
move on. We don't have time. We don't have time.
Six Nations is starting. New Thursday evening start because they don't want to clash with the Winter Olympics, which is also starting this week.
It is indeed. Another thing that's happened, Hyrox Phoenix,
Yep.
the elites happened. We got a new world record from Joanna Vietrich. She set 56.03 for her pro time. We also had some drama going on in the men's pro doubles race, if you want to talk about that. Hunter and Jake Williamson, they were going for the world record. They were on pace for it to the second pretty much the whole race. And then at the end, unfortunately, they had 14 no reps, which cost them the world record by about 3 seconds. So gutting for them. We'll be excited to see them in Stockholm because they qualified. That is the last time they're going to be able to race together competitively, because after this season, you're no longer allowed to race in the Elite 15 with anyone that is not from the same nationality as you. That's because they're looking towards the Olympics. Tennis.
Australian Open.
Yes.
Final, Alcaraz versus Djokovic. Djokovic did not manage to come away with it, but as a result, Alcaraz won, and that makes him, I think, the 9th male ever to have won all of the majors. And he's only 22, which is like mind-blowing.
Insane. Yeah. And you've got one more thing, Team England.
Oh, yeah. So anyone who follows golf, the peripherals of golf, the team, I think it's called the Icons Cup. Loads of like legendary retired sportsmen and women play golf. It's Team England versus the world, and Team England won.
That was 1 minute 54 seconds.
Wow.
That was on the rails.
I felt the pressure.
I'm going to bridge from news into grind my gears nicely here, because for those of you that are listening to this on the day this comes out, the Winter Olympics has actually been going for a week, but officially the Winter Olympics has been going for 5 days.
Yeah.
So we've discussed this a year ago when we were talking about the Summer Olympic Games, but it is a massive grind my gear that the Olympic Games and the Winter Olympic Games start before the opening ceremony.
It makes no sense.
And for context, if you're new to this or you don't remember that episode, there is no reason for it. We looked it up. There is actually no reason for it. It's just poor organization.
Yeah. Because it's like, we need to do some events first.
There's too much of some events.
But it doesn't make sense.
No, just move the start earlier.
Yeah. And it's not like they're using the same venues.
Nope.
I feel like that would be more of a problem in the Winter Olympics, where maybe they're using the same slopes for similar events, or same jumps, or same like half pipes or whatever for similar events. But for the Summer Olympics,
Can you guess what the first event of the Winter Olympic Games is? Because for us, it's happening today.
I'm going to say something like biathlon.
Curling.
Yeah.
Which
is, it must have its own specific venue. So it doesn't matter when it starts.
No. Now, I would also say, like, possibly one of the less entertaining watches of the Winter Olympic Games. However,
I might disagree.
historically for Great Britain, it's been one of our best.
Yeah, it's
been a
quite
staple.
fun. Like people seem to always get into the curling.
I would love to be able to play it. You can play it in like Roxy ballrooms, but it's not the same.
It's not
I
the
couldn't
same.
imagine it's not the same.
There with the mop.
Yeah, exactly. However, that's kind of like a little grind my gear. Bridges us nicely in. Have you got any grind my gears this week?
I'm gonna go. Someone wrote in. I'll go with someone who
Love
wrote
it.
in. They didn't reply to whether or not they wanted to remain anonymous or not. So I feel like I probably shouldn't say their name.
Yeah,
just
that's
in case. Maybe the other way around.
Really grown up of us, actually. Yeah.
Didn't reply. Your name is. But it's another swimming one.
Oh, okay.
I riled the swimmers up with my lane issue the other week.
Okay.
But she said she didn't like it when people wore too much aftershave or like too strong aftershave, because when you're swimming, you can almost like taste it because it's like it gets in the water. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I actually had this the other day, and I was gonna mention it. The stars aligned, and she popped up in the DMs and told us about it. But it doesn't matter who it is. But like, if you're wearing a lot of perfume, if you're wearing a lot of aftershave when you're in the pool, it gets up in your grill.
This goes back to my point of people should not be pissing in the pool.
I don't know what. I
'Cause-
don't think aftershave is worse than peeing in the pool.
It's not worse.
It's definitely not.
It's definitely not worse.
They're not on the same
Oh
level.
no, I got coated in Dior Sauvage. Oh no, I got coated in someone's piss. I know which one's worse. So I'm going to follow that up with another one that we had written in. So Venla, first of all, we were a grind my gear because she sent one a couple months ago and apparently we didn't mention it. If that happened, and I still can't believe it happened, we are very sorry.
So her grind my gear was when you send in a grind my gear and they don't answer it.
Yeah.
That's
but
fair.
We're giving
That's
her full credit because she's come through with an absolute banger. This one is Hyrox related. It has been grinding her gears about Hyrox and myself for other sporting events when people post their finish time plus a penalty.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's say you decided to run 2 laps of the whole Hyrox race instead of the 32 if it was, or whatever, however many it was. You only decided to run 2 laps. You're obviously going to get a penalty for every time. But like they post, oh yeah, Hyrox sub 60, 58 brackets plus 7-minute penalty for not knowing what on earth I was doing the entire time.
Because I ran an extra lap every
You
time.
got an hour and 5 minutes. That's what that means.
Yeah. That's annoyed me for so long. And it's the same thing with like the chip time versus your like watch time. Do you know something that I've seen recently, which I haven't seen before? And it's from someone who's, I don't want to call them out, but they're pretty well known on social media in the fitness space. And they're trying to attempt to go sub 60 in a Hyrox Pro race.
Okay.
It's not their main sport. They do another sport as their main sport. But in his caption, he went, for finishing Hyrox, he went, watch time.
Oh,
Watch time, 1 hour something. I'm like, what? You don't need to put watch time, bro.
there's a whole system in place for this.
It's literally why it's there. So I think that's the same as like when runners look at people going, oh, my Strava time or my watch time versus my chip time. But I'm like, why have you looked at it? This is my watch time.
Yeah, no.
And
that's
how often
awful.
do you finish a Hyrox race and as soon as you finish, click the watch? I'm always like 30 seconds out or like 2 minutes off because I've forgotten, because I'm looking up at the actual screen where my chip time is.
Yeah, nah.
Mental.
You can't be doing that.
That's actually just sparked something.
What?
Did you see Jensen Button did Hyrox?
I did see Jensen Button did Hyrox.
how
What a
cool was
guy.
that? Yeah.
Definitely should have just stuck to driving by the looks of it. Although quite a fit bloke, to be fair. Yeah, he was actually
the guy's an athlete. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Next one, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, go.
I'm gonna go with a fresh one. This is fresh off the press, fresh out of the gym. 2 hours ago, I nearly got arrested. Not directly, that's quite a stretch from what actually happened, but I nearly aggressively, I in my vision, I made physical contact with another human being for their actions in the gym. It was not good. However, I turned up to do a gym session. I go to Pure Gym, we've discussed that, and I don't have very high expectations for the etiquette in a Pure Gym. However, I walked in and a guy was very clearly taking ownership of the bench press. There is actually only one specific bench press. There's a rack so you can send your own up, but there's only one designed and built. He has his towel and his phone on it. He's not on it. He's walking around. I'm like, you do you between your sets, whatever. So I go off and I start doing some of my other exercises. So I did 5 sets of pull-ups. I then went and did 4 sets of chest-assisted rows. I'm not taking you through my whole program here. I'm just trying to explain the timing situation. I then see that he's still supposedly on the bench, but actually he sat on a free weight bench next to that bench doing incline bicep curls. And I'm like, okay, so he's not using the bench then. I'm going to go over and I'm going to say, is this your stuff? Because I'm going to use the bench. It has been half an hour at this point. So I go over and I'm like, are you using the bench? And as I go over, he steps off the free weight bench relatively aggressively to get in my way and goes, I've got 3 more. And in my head, I'm like, 3 more what? You haven't, I genuinely have not seen you on that bench press. I've seen you do bicep curl sets, so I can only assume that what you mean is I've got 3 more, I've got 3 more sets of bicep curls, not on that bench. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be over there, back where I was. Can you tell me when you're done, please? Let me apply some pressure. So I go away and I did incline bench press with dumbbells. I then did lateral raises, not superset. Separate. I'm getting to the end of those. Someone else goes over to this guy. Is like, are you using that bench? And he's like, yeah. Like, sorry, yeah. I'm looking. No word of a lie. From the time that I walked into the gym to the time that he came over and then told me that I could have it, 51 minutes.
No.
I have no idea how long he was on it before I arrived.
All day.
So I then got on, warmed up on his weight. I had to do that.
Had to.
Dick move, but had to do it. Just straight away was like, you can leave that, mate. Started warming up on it.
I respect.
I was done within 10 minutes. I'd done 4 sets, 4 working sets, and then I was off. And I, like, the entire time, I just like stared him down. Anytime he tried to make eye contact with it, I gave it to him, but I was not happy. So basically, that was a massive grind I get for those.
And that, I mean, that feeds off what we were saying the other day about working in the commercial gym.
Yeah.
I think I'm because I'm spending more time, because this is another one of my grind my gears. I'm spending more time in the commercial gym recently. I see so many of these like bad habits. But one thing that like really aggravates me that shouldn't, which I mean essentially is therefore grind my gear, is I don't mind if you're, let's say for example, you're on a hamstring curl or you're on like quad extension, something like that, where you're sat. I don't mind when you're resting if you sit on it, if there's no one waiting and you can like scroll on your phone. But I see people, they're scrolling on their phone whilst doing the reps.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm like, there's so little point in you doing that. There's so little point. And it's just like, comes back to like my inner coach of going like intention of movement and getting the most out of it.
Fair enough if you're on like a step machine or like you're walking up on the treadmill.
Or treadmill.
But if you're on a machine. There is no way you can believe that you're applying yourself.
And like I've the example I saw was like seated hamstring curl, and there can't have been any weight on it, and it's just like going up and down whilst you're kind of like scrolling TikTok. And I was just like, no, it's so frustrating.
Going to the gym to say you went to the gym.
But that's basically it. And I know that's okay for some people, and that's why some people want to go. But it's just like, get something out of it if you're there.
Do you know what? I think it is okay for people to do what they want if you are in the gym on your own. But I think what I'm going to connect from that to what I experienced today is just like have some self-awareness.
Have some. But this person who was sat doing this, there wasn't anyone waiting.
Okay.
And it wasn't busy. It's never really that busy. But I'm just like, and like going on your phone is complete. Like I go on the cross trainer and look at my phone. I'm watching like TV or whatever because it's boring otherwise. But yeah, I'm just like, you could get so much more out of the exercise if you're actually applying yourself.
Yeah. Fair. I'm gonna come back with Wrigley's Extra Bubble Mint Gum. Wrigley's Extra Bubble Mint Gum. Now, there's 2 reasons this pisses me off.
I saw this on the notes. There was no context. It's just bubble mint. I was like, here we go.
So, number 1, awful flavour. Number 2, I think I'm about 1 more occasion away from suing them for mis-selling their product.
Here we go.
Because when I go in...
Let's do it. Court case.
Let's see what we can get here. We'll be sponsored by our own court case. When I go into the supermarket and I go... I need some gum. I really like the Wrigley's Extra White. Good gum. Strong, got crunchy bits in it, like that. However, it's always near the bubble mint. The problem being is that the bubble mint one says bubble mint on it. you're wrong. It doesn't always say bubble mint on it. And the thing with the bubble mint one is it says Wrigley's Extra White in big, is bubble mint flavor. So Wrigley's Extra White just doesn't have anything extra. Bubble mint somewhere has tiny little bubble mint on the side, and it is the exact same packaging. And so the number of I haven't had a successful purchase of Extra White like I want in 2026.
Really?
Nope.
That's your own fault then. You're your own problem.
I'm not saying that I'm not an idiot. I'm just saying they're doing it on purpose. Yeah. And what I also think that pisses me off is they've probably gone, this guy on this podcast one time said that our bubble mint flavor is terrible, but explain to us why it's got such high sales. That's the reason. No one wants to buy it. Everyone buys it by accident.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm going to have a look now. I've never noticed that.
It's infuriating because it's not every packet, but it's like they've got multiple iterations. Or what's going on is I am buying the right packet with bubble mint in it for some reason because they're just trying to shuffle their stock out.
Because no one else wants it.
No.
I've got one more. Okay. This one's like, again, it's like a peripheral that I've stolen off someone else's story. They didn't send it in to us, but I saw it. I messaged them about it. They were in a public sauna. So they're at the gym, public sauna.
Yeah.
There's so many things wrong with this. There's so many things. Firstly, there's someone else in the sauna, obviously. It's
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. That's normal. They were eating. That's the first.
That's not fine.
That's the red flag.
That's right. Not fine.
Not only were they just eating, but they were eating a tuna sandwich.
No.
A tuna sandwich. Which tuna by itself is like socially, for some reason, frowned upon eating.
It kind of stinks.
Because it stinks, yeah. I like tuna. But I'm probably not going to eat it on the tube. I'm probably not going to eat it in public. I'll wait until I'm at home when I'm eating my tuna sandwich or whatever, or in a private place. The last fucking place I'm going to eat a tuna sandwich, or a sandwich in general, is a sauna.
Yeah.
I don't want to eat anything in the sauna.
I've just come up with the term microwapists. Are people that put their stinking food in a microwave and just destroy the microwave for everyone else that remaining lunchtime.
Yeah.
So microwapists are on a pretty bad level. But that is far worse.
Oh yeah.
That is far worse.
But like, why would you, nothing about that's enjoyable?
If that happened and it was smelly enough, I would leave my session, or I'd leave it at some point, and I would tell someone at staff who it was and that they were eating a tuna sandwich in there.
Ban them.
And I'd be like, they made a mess that I cleared up. I just add a little bit. You're welcome, by the way.
Add fuel to the fire.
Give me a free membership, kick them out.
We had a no fish in the microwave rule at our old gym.
No microwapist.
Yeah, exactly. There are too many occasions where you walk in this staff room and you're like, oh my, who's microwaved a whole fucking cod or whatever.
Crazy.
It's so tough.
I've got one more. This was not sent in, but it was highlighted by someone to me and is very topical. We've spoken about the Winter Olympics already.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the main focuses for today's episode is going to be the Winter Olympics. Now, how I'm going to do a fantastic job of bridging the gap is that there are more sports. We actually discussed this a couple of episodes ago, being added to the Olympics and Winter Olympics every time it comes around, which is really cool. I like it. However, did you know that the Nordic combined event, which is where you have the shooting and the Nordic skiing, historically and still to this day, women can't compete in at the Olympic Games?
No way.
It is a men-only event.
Shut up.
Ridiculous. There's a whole league. There's world championships. Like, you can compete in it at the Olympics.
I've actually been watching the World Cup on Discovery Plus, which I realised I now pay for.
So you've got an entire subset of athletes that are not allowed to be Olympians.
Is that actually a thing?
It's still a thing. On to protest. That's more than a grind my gear.
No shit, it's gone to protest. So it's like women don't do high rings in gymnastics in the Summer Olympics. Why the fuck not?
Yeah. We're at a point now where, like, athletic development and sports knowledge and everything, we should understand that women are more than capable of doing.
So dumb. I mean, stuff like that is so dumb, isn't it? That is a good grind my gear.
So that takes us in. As I said, today's focus is going to be around the Winter Olympics today. We might tease more with news and that kind of thing in the upcoming episodes, but we're trying something new, because something that you said on the last episode when we were joined by Roscoe, which I thought was a particularly interesting point, was that you think tennis players are some of the best athletes in the world because of the way that they have to train. They have to have a level of endurance. They have to have the skill base. They also have to have the agility and the longevity, all of that. which I do tend to agree with. I think so. But it got me thinking, I would love to know more about how other athletes actually train.
This is so interesting.
And so as much as we want to bring guests on to this show to actually, pin them down and get it out of them.
Djokovic on it.
Yeah, we'll get Djokovic on here someday. I mean, his career's going downhill. We're not going to get Alcaraz. But, I thought we'd start off today with Scotty James. Scotty James, to some of you, will just be like two first names put together. But Scotty James is a 31-year-old Australian snowboarder who competes in the half pipe. He is incredibly successful, but not in his own way, in a sense. I mean, so as a bit of a background, Scotty James has been world champion 4 times: 2015, 2017, 2019, and 2025. 2025 is particularly interesting. We'll come back to that because Scotty James has never won Olympic gold. He's been world champion 4 times.
And that's crazy. If you go on his Wikipedia, just scroll down how many medals he's won.
Yeah.
And you're like, so
It's
somewhere
a
in
good
there,
few finger scrubs.
Yeah, there must be an Olympic gold in there.
So he has won Olympic bronze in
2018.
Pyongyang. 2018 Pyongyang.
Was it?
And then he won.
And he was the flag bearer as well.
Indeed.
Did you know that?
Yeah, good info. Someone's been doing their research.
I have.
And then he also won a silver medal in 2022 in Beijing.
Cool.
But gold medal has always eluded him. And we had this discussion when Roscoe brought up Andy Murray. And we were talking about how good Andy Murray is as a tennis player because he still had success around the time of Federer, Nadal, Djokovic. Well, a name that you will probably know in snowboarding halfpipe is Shaun White. Shaun White existed. Now, there were other riders in and amongst it as well. There's been some great riders from Japan who are also still in existence and still around and competing. But Shaun White, the issue with him is that he was almost a bit like, if you were talking about the Ronaldo versus Messi debate, he would be more of the Messi, the kind of natural talent that I don't doubt has had a lot of work go into it. But he could always turn up on the day with zero form and win a competition by putting down a perfect run.
Just pull it out the bag.
And then you've got Scotty James, who from a very, very young age, and in fact, fun fact, started snowboarding when he was 3 years old on an advertising board. But by 6 years old, he was snowboarding competitively.
Wow.
Age 13, he was competing internationally. Now, there's a documentary out about Scotty James that kind of goes through this. If you want to watch it, it's on Netflix right now, which will give you a bit more of the gaps that we're kind of glazing over at the moment. However, when you're a junior, I believe, up until the age of 11. And then from being 11, you're competing against adults.
Is it? Perfect.
So like,
it's a little bit like gymnastics.
It's a huge jump in that sense. So he went from having like great success to now he was just like literally a kid competing. So when he was 13, he was competing internationally.
That is bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah, he was going up against he was going up against Shaun White. So he was the youngest Australian Olympian, I think in 50 years or ever, at the age of 15 at the 2010 Vancouver Olympic Games.
So much.
Came 21st in the halfpipe, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But he got a photo with Shaun White. And Shaun White now, in this documentary, admits he doesn't really remember meeting him.
Oh, shame.
But like, he was just a kid. Yeah. And like, he was noticeably younger than did a great job. But he was always this phenomenon. I think this is one of the things that we've spoken about so many times is like people peak really early on in their career and like then nothing comes of it.
Yeah.
And he's an example of someone that did peak very early on in his career, but then has managed to sort of sustain success. And when we're talking about success, he hasn't just had success in the World Championships, because in winter sport and more of the like extreme sports, you have the X Games.
Yeah.
So in the Winter X Games, he's pretty much won.
Oh, gold.
That's what most of the scrolling is.
Yeah. So amazing.
One of the issues that he has had through his career, as a lot of athletes do have, is injuries. So he's always been battling injury. However, that has kind of made him the athlete that he is and who we're going to discuss today. Let me preface this by saying you guys might know what a half pipe looks like. It's kind of in the name. But if we're talking sizing, if you were to stand at the bottom of the half pipe and then you went to the sides where they take off, that is the size of a 2-story house with a roof. So like, it's huge.
Yeah, it's scary.
The next thing that makes that even more scary is when they take off, they go roughly, a similar height up in the air. And when they're coming down to land, you're thinking snow. Well, for it to hold that shape on its own, it's so heavily compacted and used with water jets that freeze overnight. You are landing on like pretty much solid ice. Solid ice solid concrete. At that speed, same thing.
Literally the same thing.
When you take off, if you're not coming down within the landing zone, which is realistically like the first 1 to 2 meters of that ridge, then you're either hitting the ridge and breaking something immediately, or you're coming down and slap bang bottom of the pipe and breaking everything. So it's like the margins are tiny. But then one of the things that we would appreciate from a perspective of like understanding performance and how your body's going to operate, which he's had to learn, the load that goes through your body, even if you do catch it perfectly, it's not smooth.
It's like the force absorption onto something so hard.
Exactly. And you're doing all of that pretty reactively, because most of the time when you're doing 360s, 1080s, all of these different tomahawks, which is like a trick that I think Sean White invented,
the landing's going to be slightly different each time, isn't it? And also like the surface is never going to be consistent. So it's
and you're not looking at it.
You're making, going in blind. You're just making a decision based off feel.
Yeah.
I think there's already, like, I know we're going to go into it in way more detail. There's just so many layers to this which fascinate me.
So one of the things that I have experienced in my own winter sport journey, when I was doing my season, I really wanted to learn how to do a 360.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. The problem that
It would have been so much cooler if it had been like a back.
eventually I did get there. It took me way longer than I wish it had. But me and like gymnastics, despite being all right when I was young, just not a thing. I wasn't getting enough air, because when you're going off a jump and you're looking to do some level of rotation, you have to load it. And then you have to release it at the right time. But I wasn't giving enough respect to how much you have to jump off the ground, even if you're on a jump. So like there's
creating the
exactly. So there's a lot of explosivity. And if you were to go off a half pipe, and it's the same, I believe, for skateboarding as well. I'm not a great skateboarder, I won't lie. If you want to land back in the pipe, you have to push off, because that keeps you in there. Otherwise, naturally, your body will absorb and you'll go off it like it is a jump. So you have to pop at the right time. But in order to be able to get the height as well, to get the time to do the trick you want to do, you have to press off pretty hard. So already we're looking at the idea of strength training would be pretty beneficial. And not only does Scotty now have a pretty rigorous program around strength training that means he can repeatedly give out those loads, but also injury prevention from receiving the load when he comes back down to land. Now, I'd be interested from your perspective, what you would assume his training holistically would look like pre-season and during season.
He put me on the spot here. The only thing I have for context of this at my old gym, I think he is world champion. I don't want to misquote that. A guy called Joe Poland. You go and look him up on Instagram because he's incredible. A sport I didn't know existed. Water sport. So it's water skiing. He's incredible at trick skiing on the water and whatever. But it's like water skiing jumping for distance.
I didn't know that was the name.
No, and it's incredible. Like I'll have to show you a video afterwards. But he would come to the gym because he's like, "Hey man, I need to get my legs stronger." And I was like, I didn't even process that was a sport or a thing that you'd need to do. But obviously, to create more power and create more force to go further, you need to have stronger legs. So it's a similar comparison. So without going into too much detail, because I think there must also be like a little bit, maybe even for me in my own head, a stigma around sports like halfpipe or skateboarding in general, where these people are just like, they've been skating around since they were kids or snowboarding since they were kids. And there's no real like process. They just like to do tricks, and then the rest of the time they just bum around basically. But it's like a serious sport and they take their training very seriously. So I'd imagine there's a lot of compound strength movements. So you're thinking about developing explosive power. So things like back squats, deadlifts, I'm sure he's doing a lot of. Probably, there's going to be different phases in his training in the lead up to season, but I'd imagine the most rigorous work or demanding work he's doing off season in prep for like the skill refinement and the practice that he's going to do in season maybe, or just as he builds into the season. But I'd imagine there's also a lot of plyometrics, a lot of jumping, a lot of isometrics probably before the plyometrics that he's doing, a lot of like other force absorption, so depth jumps, things like jumping off boxes and landing. There's one of my favorite phrases from Olympic weightlifting, which is you're only as strong as the force you can absorb, or only as powerful as the force you can absorb. So it's a bit like Yodery, but I'd then imagine there's other sort of explosive drills for hip extension. So he's probably doing some sort of Olympic weightlifting, like power cleans, maybe from hang, something like that, or lots of jumps. Then I'd imagine single leg stability work as well. Obviously, you've got both feet on the board, but maybe one's dominant in certain tricks or in certain positions when you're landing. So it's like, I'd be interested to know if I pieced together a training program for Scotty.
Well, this is the reason I wanted to put you on the spot, because I really wanted to see how your brain worked, like breaking things down, because there were things there that I wouldn't have thought of as quickly as you did. But you're generally pretty right. So in an off season, typically most athletes will focus on strength, because through the season, through niggles, through having to focus on the race or the competition specific elements, you don't have enough volume of the strength training to build your strength. You're just trying to maintain. So he very much takes the approach of off-season strength training. And I'm going to preface two things. First of all, before we go into the depths of this, I haven't got Scotty on speed dial yet. So when I'm telling you what he does, this has been taken from previous podcasts he's done, this documentary that I've watched, and then his own YouTube channel. The other thing that I would like to introduce you to, a bit like how I mentioned, you've got Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, and Cristiano Ronaldo is always kind of seen as the guy that does the work. Well, Scotty, and I quote, says that he wants to be looked at as a performance athlete that snowboards rather than a snowboarder that trains like an athlete. So good. That's really that. I mean, that is testament to his work ethic and understanding that maybe he's not as quote unquote lucky or talented as others in the field.
But I do think there's like also there is a stigma around it, because for example, let's just take a runner, because it's an easy example. To get better at running, you have to put in so much like endurance work for it. Whereas like for snowboarding, especially in half pipe, where it's more techie, it's about skill and trick, and you don't necessarily associate that with like they have to be in the gym refining backflips and tumbling and etc., and then doing all of the strength training on top of it. You think of it, oh, they just must have been doing that since they were younger, and as a result they're quite good at it.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's pieces to it, and to be the best in the world, obviously you have to put work in.
I think there's also an ego thing, because when you are young and you're good, you kind of assume that you can be that way the whole time, which is what he would have experienced in his success, because there's no way he was doing some of those movements you mentioned when he was a kid. However, going into his understanding of preseason and during season training, typically in preseason it would be more like 5 to 6 times a week doing strength training, but a massive emphasis also on the cardio side of things. There's a lot on his YouTube of him running. He's not a bad runner, but he does a lot of like elliptical work, a lot of bike work at home, because when he's in his off season, considering, I mean, a bit like a lot of sports at the pro level these days, but he has to chase the winter around the world, be in different places to compete all year round, and also to train, because where he is at home isn't probably going to have snow straight outside unless he wants to live in the mountains all year round, which you probably don't want to do. So when he is at home, he would want to take a focus away from doing anything that he can't do comfortably. So that's why a lot of that quote unquote easy stuff would be done then. But it is a massive focus on building strength. But interestingly, you mentioned there's a lot of the plyometric stuff, but also in some of the movements which you would typically see in a public gym using a bar, it is unilateral. So you're using kettlebells, you're trying to build the stability, and you don't want to lose that. And you don't want to get really good quads from doing quad extension all season long, and then all of a sudden you come along and your legs don't work independently. So that's a massive focus. And then in the off season, with the skill focus, you can't obviously stop doing that. He is now at a level, he's obviously sponsored by Red Bull, where one of the things that he didn't have when he first got into the Winter Olympic Games was the money that Sean had. So training wise, it's difficult. He spoke to Sean, what's it like? Because, and I remember watching something about this years ago with Sean White. Sean White had his own $3 million half pipe in the mountains to go and train it. And part of the reason, and this is more context on the sport, is not just so that he can go and train when he wants. It's because a lot of the time in the off season and early in the season, riders are learning a run. So because you get given a point system score, so like you're being judged out of 100 across 3 judges, and then you get the average, you can go into a season knowing kind of what your perfect score looks like, or how to get a really high score. So if you practice those runs and with tolerance for like, if I get this kind of pipe or this kind of condition, I'm going to have to do this, then you can come out of your off season knowing I'm about to pull 5 tricks that no one in the world's done before. I'm probably going to have a pretty good season.
Yeah.
So they go away and they work on their runs. And if your competitors are able to see what you're doing and they're actually talented enough, they can copy.
Yeah.
So this is one of the considerations. So Scotty now has access to enough money to be able to have a private half pipe that he uses.
That's crazy.
And when you've got places around the world, we've obviously got the North and Southern Hemisphere with different winters, but also there are in the Alps, there's glaciers all over the world, but you can do glacier skiing all year round, even if you're doing it in shorts and a t-shirt. But Scotty also uses airbags. For major OGs of the podcast, we had Toby on, who used to do ski seasons, which is actually how I met him. But Toby broke his neck on an airbag when it wasn't inflated properly and went through to the concrete underneath.
Oh my God.
So there are risks with an airbag. It's not all fun and games. But Scotty uses an airbag massively off the half pipe, landing on it, and then he can get a pretty good reference of if he would have landed. Because don't forget, he's landed so many tricks. He knows if he would have landed it or not.
Is the purpose of that then to reduce the impact of the landing, or it's just a different tool to...
It's both. So like, if it's a sketchy trick,
You've got to
be
learn
doing that.
Yeah, I get that.
But it's like, if it's a trick you've never done before, so if you've been able to do a 720 and I go, cool, now I'll do a 1080, that's an extra rotation.
You want to practice it without the risk of actually smashing.
Because if I said like, the only way you're going to land a 1080 is by going and doing it, all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't know if I could do that. So you build up.
It's the same if you've seen when divers learning tricks, they're in a harness. And if they...
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
But like the equivalent is to have an airbag, because it's with some of the rotations they're doing, because they're doing... I'm not in the knowledge enough to be able to look at someone's trick like the announcers do. I don't know how they do it. They look at them do like
make it up
8 spins upside down, whatever, and they're like, oh my God, he did Jack the Pony, whatever that is. But like
with tail grab.
Exactly. So there's all of these like fine refinements that happen in a trick that will get worked through the airbag phase until the confidence is there. So even then, the first time they do it in competition is massive, because there's just different pressure. So
I mean, that's also something that we need to discuss, right? And it's like, he's come into, and I think you have to, especially in a sport like this, you have to start when you're young, when your brain is... You said he started when he was 3 and then started competing when he was 6 and then made it pro when he was 11. Like, your brain is still really malleable there. So it's like, there's less comprehension of fear. And I don't know if you have it as well, but when I was younger and when I started skiing, I was just fearless, because I had no like comprehension of, if I break my leg, I can't work, therefore I can't make any money. So when I go now, I'm just like, I'm going to go slow. I don't want to fall over. I don't want to hurt myself. It's just like, it's not as fun and I don't go as fast, but you develop that over time. And I think if he hadn't started young, he wouldn't have that kind of like block to go, I'm going to do like 10 flips in the air and then potentially land on concrete and could like snap my back.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to start when you're young.
One of the things that I think a lot of people will kind of not necessarily understand is the aerobic side of his training. So much like, what's the necessity? Because typically a run through the pipe probably lasts 30 seconds maybe. You don't need to have the best cardiovascular base to be able to do that. But it's the whole thing that we've spoken a lot about within Hyrox and other sports, is the tolerance that your body has to activity. So in the example of him running, how many people do we know, including ourselves, get injured purely from running? The load that running gives on the body. Now, if you compare that to the load that his body needs to take, running is minimal. So running is a very, very good base for his body to be able to say, I can handle that. No problem. Therefore, the higher loads are also fine. Whereas if you went from doing really hard snowboarding sessions and taking off and you weren't having the airbag or whatever, and then you went and sat on the sofa for the rest of the day, or the rest of the week, and you come back to do it again, your body's not primed for that. Your central nervous system's not going to be able to tolerate this up and down so easily in that way. But there's another key thing: altitude benefit. Because if you've got a better aerobic base, you're going to handle the changes in altitude much better than someone that...
It also supports your strength training and your strength system, your aerobic and your strength. They work very similar together. The only thing that I'm interested in, I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, is like, obviously the sport he does and the career he's had injuries. Do you know what any of those injuries have been?
So interestingly, it's pretty random for people in extreme sport events because of just the way that you land. His first appearance at the Olympic Games, we said, was 2010. He competed with a broken wrist.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say wrists are probably a big one.
Wrist is a big one with snowboarding. The benefit that you have with snowboarding over something like skiing is obviously because your feet are strapped in, you're less likely to have knee injuries from twisting.
Yeah, okay, fine.
So you do still get them,
Yeah.
but like it's far less.
Because I was going to say, I've worked with people. I mean, it's still extreme, but it's not really the same thing. But working, they like MotoGP riders, and obviously when you crash at high speed, they're going a lot faster off a motorbike. But they all have so much metal in their bodies, and it's like they avoid running like the plague. So they do a lot of rowing because it's like good for the grip. And when you're racing around a track, all you're doing is pumping the brakes, so you get like unbelievable forearm pump. So rowing's really good for them. Skiing as well, and a lot of biking. So I'm just interested, like if you are getting lower limb injuries frequently, and maybe you've got some screws and some plates somewhere, maybe running wouldn't be the best thing. But obviously he's fine with it. But like you say, it's good as well to develop the tolerance to the impact and the loading of running if you're constantly hitting the deck on a snowboard.
Exactly. And one of the other things, purely from a logistical standpoint, some backstory that we haven't given you that you found particularly interesting. So there's a connection to Formula One.
I always pick out the interesting stuff, don't I?
So Scotty's brother-in-law is Lance Stroll of Formula One. So he's essentially married into a rather wealthy family as well. But I would argue that he's still probably the most successful athlete in that family now. But he spends a lot of his time in Monaco. I'll let you draw your own connections as to why they would live in Monaco. But he spends a lot of time there, which is obviously right next to the Alps, which is pretty ideal. But he's not there all year round, like we said. And one of the most readily available things whenever you are in the world is to run. So like running can be a really good base for him. Now, if we run through a heavily supported by AI and the information I gave it, a rough example of what an off-season program would look like across 7 days. Day one would be heavy lower body. So a bit like you said, squats, deadlifts, unilateral work, power cleans. In fact, for those of you that are living in the London area listening to this and you know CrossFit Putney, there is a YouTube video of him doing those exact movements at CrossFit Putney. One of the other things that he will do in most of his training sessions, especially out of that video, is doing a lot of core work. Again, we mentioned about loading up the core to release for the rotation, but like again in absorption, your body's
I didn't even mention that. Yeah, it's obvious.
You're going to be in so many different positions, and again, how much load can you tolerate when you land is a huge one, because you're landing and then you've got in half pipe maybe 1.5 seconds before you're in the air again. So it's landing, absorbing, and then throwing it back.
I think
up
also
again.
like the ability to react and go again, but also like you think of a gymnast who's tumbling and flipping and rolling and somersaulting, how much core work they do. It's obvious that he'd need to for like proprioception coordination. I mean, it is fascinating to see like the transfers.
So then, similar to what you said in terms of recovery as well, there would be some sort of zone 2 easy work in and around that session on day one. Day two, you'd be looking at more explosive stuff. So a bit more of an emphasis on cleans, a little bit lighter because we've obviously done heavy the day before. A few plyometrics thrown in there, and again managing the load with single leg kind of use. The other reason for it being slightly lighter is because on this example day is when you would also do some of the technique work. So you might go up to the slopes, you might do some of the work on the airbag. So you really don't want to be overly fatiguing yourself in the morning, because then you're actually not able to nail the technique phase later on. Day three, more of like a active recovery day. So you'd be doing again a bit more of your steady run or your bike stuff, or honestly, some of them really like to do a general cross training fitness session that kind of just takes them away from the sport a little bit. And then one of the lower focuses for someone in a sport like snowboarding, although we did speak about the broken wrists and that kind of thing, is to prime the upper body. So a bit of upper body strength again, just to sort of balance everything off. Day four, kind of back to the speed and power focus. At this point, you've given yourself a bit of enough rest. But again, we're still then going back to working on some of the tricks. Sometimes they do them on trampolines.
Cool.
Some athletes don't like trampolines. There are athletes that have actually broken
Yeah, I can
limbs
imagine.
on trampolines, because they will do it with the board and stuff on.
Wow.
Again, it kind of depends on the complexity.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of thing that would look like on maybe day 4. So with Thursday, if we're on a normal week. Day 5, again, long, easy sort of aerobic work. And then in the evening, because of the type of training you've been doing so far in the week, like mobility is a massive focus. And again, you think about the body position you land in sometimes. You've got to be super flexible to not pop joints and that sort of thing when you land. So heavy emphasis on that, which then leads into day 6, or the Saturday, which is probably the hardest day of the week, because that's where you're kind of trying to combine. It is almost the equivalent of doing a simulation. So you go and do your competitive day where you're actually trying to land the runs over and over and over again. So you'd be doing, I think he mentioned this on the documentary, but he might be up at the pipe on his own for 3 to 4 hours at a time. And if you're doing the same run, that, as we said, takes 30 seconds, albeit you're going to get, there's not going to be a lift, you're going to get a skidoo up. You're probably doing 10 to 15 runs an hour. That's crazy on the body. So then, relatively understood, but Sunday is about mobility, eating well, and recovering, getting ready for Monday, because you're then back in to do some heavier training. So
it is fascinating, really. And like, I hope if people listen to this and then go and watch the Winter Olympics, it's just an appreciation of like how athletic all of these people are. And like, I know it sounds stupid, like they're all Olympians, they're all competing at the top of their sport for their country. You'd imagine that they're training hard, but you don't actually step back and go, well, these people are training all year round. Like we've just read through a week. He's doing that every week. And obviously, like, it sounds really fun and really cool. And being a professional athlete is obviously like an amazing opportunity and honor. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of hard graft in there. The one thing I was interested in is like, he's doing 30-second bursts on the half pipe, and it's like super intense. It is just like interval training. I'd be interested to see if he has any sort of like more VO2 max or anaerobic-y kind of style intervals chucked in there.
So in the particular YouTube video I mentioned with CrossFit Putney appearing,
just some echo bike, I reckon.
You might well do, but that's not on there.
Oh, fine.
He was doing some running intervals.
Okay, fine.
Through, I think, Regent's Park.
Okay.
But yeah, so he was doing running intervals.
Shows the park close to Putney.
You'd think. Red Bull budget, is it?
Got a helicopter there.
Yeah. So no, there's definitely still some VO2 max work in there, again, just for sort of covering all areas of training and perspective. Now that was more of like a pre-season attempted focus. In the season, what would reduce is the amount of strength work in the gym. Mobility work will increase quite a lot to help the recovery side of things. Again, they're still easy, probably less long. We're not talking, because when you're talking about like the adaptations you get in zone 2 training, you're talking realistically 45 minutes is supposedly good for like maintaining, starting to push. Anything over like 75 to 90 minutes is where you start to get adaptation. Probably not looking for adaptation so much anymore, probably looking for just maintenance. So half an hour to 45 minutes. And then the rest of the time we'll be working skill-based.
Sure.
A lot more time on the airbag, even though it might be tricks that you think are like pretty easy to land at that point. Just again, load management and just continuing
also like
confidence.
refining. Exactly. Yeah. There must be so much of that in that sport.
Because the other thing as well is there's the competitive aspect of the sport. Is we said it, you could come out of off season thinking I'm in great shape for a great season because I've got the perfect run. It's going to get me 100 points every time I do it. But then you go in and you see someone else has actually got a slightly better run or is pulling off one of your tricks better than you.
Yeah.
Then you need to go away and you need to practice that. And that's it's not actually uncommon in some of his competitions, but in lots of competitions where you have 2 runs to get your best score in the half pipe. So it's not actually uncommon that you get a victory lap, which he's had once in his career. Your first run's
just so
because
good.
You go last if you're at the top. So if your first run's so good that you are last, if no one beats your score in their second run, then you get a victory lap. You don't even have to do anything.
Yeah.
But you get,
I guess it's time to pull off a trick that maybe no one's ever seen before. Like just go Hail Mary and just like see what you've got.
And I'm not going to say this with 100% confidence, but 99% confidence that the last time I watched live Shaun White do a gold medal winning run. It might have been Pyongyang. It might have been the one before that.
I didn't know he was competing.
I don't think he was in Pyongyang. So it might have been the one before, or it was 2010. But I think he'd already won. And instead of doing a victory lap where you just go down, high five everyone and like claim it, he landed the first. It was like back 3 tomahawk, which hadn't been done in the world before.
Yeah.
And he just pulled it off.
It's just wild, isn't it?
And again, we mentioned there Shaun White enough times. His approach, or the way that he would lead everyone to believe his approach to training was I'd go up to the half pipe in the morning, and I lived by the beach, so I'd fly back to the beach and I'd just surf all afternoon. That was my training. And like there might be an element of truth to that. I can't believe that you would be as successful as that without some of the hard work. But someone that's not branded.
Yeah, if there's someone like this who's also working like 7 days a week.
Yeah.
But
so to round this off, one of the things that I think is really cool is Scotty is a testament to the work that he puts in, despite the success that he's had. It's quite evident he is chasing the Olympic gold because honestly, it should have been his so many times.
It's the only thing he hasn't got, right?
And one of the things that's particularly interesting about this Winter Olympic Games, he's obviously back. We said what we said about having a good off season. He won the World Champs in 2025.
Yeah.
He's in a good spot.
He's on good form, yeah.
He just needs to now get it over the line.
Yeah. And it's like that. My favorite example ever, the Rory McIlroy at the Masters. Yeah. Is this his Masters? Is this the one where he's like, he's always going to butcher it because he's putting that external pressure on himself? I hope not. Like after this, I want to go away and watch the half pipe. I want to watch him like absolutely rarely.
I'm so excited for this Winter Olympic Games. I'm going to be unbearable. I said we might bring it's coming into every episode for sure.
But I think also on this point, like for me, for a long time in my coaching career, the one thing I wanted to do was like sports specific S&C, and like my main goal was like America and working with football players. But it's like, for me, it's just problem solving. You like, this is what I'm doing and training for. Use your knowledge and your skills and your understanding of the movement and the movement patterns and the mechanics and create a program that's going to make me good. And it's like, even in like a minute, I can think of some things that are going to be helpful to make someone good at snowboarding. And I've never coached anyone how to snowboard before. So it's like, I'd love to know who his S&C coach is, or if he does it himself. Whether or not he's got the experience now to do it himself and program for himself. I'm sure he has a trainer. He's got enough money. But it's like, it's wild to think that there's like a Team GB snowboarding S&C coach. Like that's a job that no one ever expects. But it's fascinating.
So 2 things. One thing to add a slight spice to the fact that he's, going to be a hopeful this year for the gold medal. He's currently ranked 4th in the World Cup so far. So he's still up there, but he's not running away with it. It's going to be an interesting competition. And the other thing, just to remind you all, that when I've told you his program, he has not given it to me. We have read between the lines of about 8 different sources and pulled it all together. So don't take it as gospel, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was pretty similar to that for him to be able to manage what he does for a career.
I'm keen in the future though with this, because this is something we'd like to explore a little bit more on, is even if you have an athlete as an example of like some crazy, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a crazy sport, but any sort of sport, let us know. I'd like to do what we've done here and kind of piece together a program. I'll go away. I'll create what I think is a good program.
And we'll see how close we get to this. I like
it. Might just completely embarrass me, or
I'll represent the athlete.
I think that'd be really fun.
So if you are an athlete that you think has got a pretty interesting program, then let us know. If you know of an athlete you'd love to know more about their programming and you don't want to go and do the research, that's what we're here for. So send it in and I'm more than happy to go away. I'll give Charles the homework of going and figuring it out, and then we'll come back together and we'll see who's right, and we'll learn maybe what they could be doing better if they had you as a coach. This is a crazy turn for your career.
My CV is going to be unbelievable.
If you generally enjoyed this kind of thing, like I've already just said there, make sure you write in @mindsets_podcast on Instagram. Is probably the best place to send us a message, but you can comment on the YouTube video. You can comment on Spotify if you want to. Just put it somewhere and then we can reply to you and we'll get back to you and hope that we can carry this forward. Because I think I really found this interesting putting this together.
It's fascinating.
And like learning about the differences between different athletes, because there is a lot of similarities in some of their training. There's also a major amount of differences. And that's also athlete to athlete within the same sport.
It's so specific to the person as well.
And we're fortunate enough to know we know a few different athletes, so we will hopefully get some of those guys and girls on and they can break down their training in front of us.
That'd be really fascinating.
So I think that's hopefully more of that to come, unless you really don't like it. But that takes us into the final part, which has been prepared by you this week.
Yeah, I'm
I'm now a little bit nervous.
I'm on game duty.
It's been 2 weeks. I've not
I
had.
know. I think I've been relatively kind with the game.
Okay.
But I think it's quite fun. It follows a similar theme to what we've been doing over the last couple of weeks. Again, it's got a name. Mm-hmm. I've called it Who Won.
Okay.
Which
Who won?
Yeah. So all you need to do is tell me who won. It might be an athlete, it might be a sports team.
Okay.
There's some bonus questions as well
Ooh.
to get even more points. I think there's 11 questions total, but then there's some extra points in bonus. We're just going to dive in.
Okay. Well, just to clarify, if you beat me, comment your score
Okay.
versus mine.
You gotta love that. All right. So I'm going to take you back to Wimbledon last year.
Yeah.
2025. Who won the women's singles at Wimbledon 2025?
Oh, if you have historically listened to the podcast, you know that my name basis is awful.
You're going to say Emma Raducanu, aren't you?
No, I'm not going to say Emma. I wouldn't have remembered her name. No offense. Again, if she's listening to this one again.
You have to go back to that episode.
Yeah. Oh, the thing is, the top 3 women, and I mentioned one of them last week in last week's episode, but I have forgotten all 3 of their names.
It's also a really difficult name. It's quite hard to pronounce.
I think this might have been swayed by Raducanu, but I think it begins with an R or a P.
Neither.
Okay, great. I'm going to have to take an L. It's not going to come.
Iga Świątek.
I wouldn't have gone. No, she would take.
Shame.
That's tough. Okay.
Tough start.
That
Tough
is a
start.
tough
I think that was a hard one, though. I think that was
hard. I should know
I
that.
think that was a hard one.
You're being too nice.
All right. The NBA Championship 2025. Who won?
Was it?
It's way better being in this position and
Yeah,
getting to ask
yeah,
the
yeah.
questions. Oh, it's fun.
I can see the teams.
He's going to say there's
Logo.
no one. I can see the person's face.
Yeah. I'll try and not to say that. The thing is, and this will tell you whether or not I'm getting the right team.
It was Sean White.
Did Russell Westbrook play a large amount of his career for them?
Don't ask me that. Don't ask me other questions that I don't know. I'm not being quizzed.
Was it
Ooh,
Oklahoma?
yes.
I've forgotten the rest of their names.
I'm giving you that. Yeah, it's
Okay.
the Thunders.
Yeah, the Thunders.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Good job.
And for those that do know basketball, yes, Russell Westbrook did spend a lot of his time there.
Well, I knew that. I just couldn't give
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah, of
couldn't
course,
give it
yeah,
away.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Women's Rugby World Cup 2025.
Where is it?
Who won?
England.
Easy. Don't double
Yeah,
guess.
yeah,
So,
no.
okay, Premier League, the 24-25 season. Who won?
Was that? See, I know that Chelsea won the Premier League in 2005, so I'm going to go ahead and say it was Chelsea.
No. 2024-25 season. What did I say?
I think I heard 2004, 2005.
I may have said that,
Okay.
but that's not what I was asking.
Surely I get a point if that's what you said.
We're gonna. Yeah. If that is correct, then
24, 25.
Yeah.
Liverpool.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
I was like, why is he taking so long to get that? Okay. The first one with a bonus point. I'm going to ask you the first question first, and then there's a bonus point. The British Open Golf 2025. Who won? There's a good little docu-series on YouTube about this.
Is there?
Yeah.
You sent that to me.
Yeah.
My knowledge needs propping up.
It's easy. It's an easy one. The guy's the GOAT at the moment.
Is it Bryson?
No.
Ah. Am I getting another guess?
He played really well. He played like if he had played the same way he did on Sunday as the rest of the weekend, he'd have like blasted everyone, but he had a tough start.
It's not going to be Rory.
No.
Is it John Rahm?
No.
No, who was it?
Scotty Scheffler.
Was it?
Yeah. The
Fair
chef.
enough, Scotty.
So the bonus point, where was it held? Do you know the course? It was a big one for Rory.
Which would imply it was not.
And the last time it was here, Shane Lowry won,
which is massive as well.
which was one of the greatest weekends ever.
Ireland.
It was in Northern Ireland. Yeah. I'm not giving you that.
It was really,
North
really
Coast.
hoping.
Do you want me to tell you?
Is Don Donald?
No.
No.
Portrush. which is a stunning link.
I've not played that one on track.
Stunning.
I don't know that one.
On Tiger Woods video.
Yeah.
We don't need to mention that. Okay, let's go stateside. Who won the MLB in 2025? Major League Baseball. I can see it. I just can't think of the name.
You can.
Oh, there's no way I'd have got this.
Was it the Cubs?
No.
No. Was it? I can't even remember if they're called Blue Jays, but
Good color choice.
is it a blue bird? Is the logo?
No,
Okay,
but I think they're blue.
then no.
The Dodgers, LA Dodgers.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know the Dodgers won it. Okay, fair enough.
Me neither
I'm
until
thinking
about
the
an
year-
hour before this podcast.
I'm thinking a year before there was a team that hadn't won it. Maybe historically.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure they have a blue bird as their logo.
The Bluebirds.
Yeah, the blue birds. Yeah, sick.
Yeah, cool.
Nice.
Good chat. Okay, this one. Who won the British Grand Prix 2025?
God, that is actually not tough. Lando Norris.
Yeah, easy. Yeah. Easy one. Okay, who won the Six Nations 2025?
Why is that falling out of my head? What?
By the end of this year, we're going to be so good at sport trivia.
Yeah. Hold on. It wasn't, definitely wasn't Wales. It wasn't Scotland. It obviously wasn't Italy either. They get taken part.
No, not as much as Wales.
Then we've got France. Yeah, true. Not that year. France, England. I don't think it was England that won it. Although, like, we're pretty fucking good. We should win it this year. I don't think it was Ireland. No, it was Ireland. It was Ireland.
France.
Fuck. Damn it.
Damn.
I really thought we did something to Ireland. Oh, did we beat Ireland in the last weekend that meant France won?
We may. I don't think that.
There was
France
something
had already
around
tied it
Ireland. I'm
up.
so sure.
Yeah. No, we're good this year.
Yeah, we're good.
this year,
We should win it this year.
Okay. Who won the Women's Six Nations 2025?
Was it not England again?
It was England. Okay. Bonus point on this one. How many have they now won in a row?
Six Nations or competitions? Okay.
Six Nations.
Six Nations, they have won 5 in a row.
7 since 2019.
Damn.
Okay.
I knew it was a lot.
And in each of those, they've won the Triple Crown. So that's beating all of the home nations and the Grand Slam. Tell me a more dominant team than that.
Literally, we've said
That
this.
is a joke.
Have you noticed in this quiz, I've actually been better at the women. I've started to switch.
Yeah.
I'm moving over to
An
women's sport.
actual joke at how dominant they are.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, easy one for you. Who won the Women's Elite 15 Major in Phoenix?
Joanna Vitrick.
Easy. Bonus point for her time.
56 minutes and 3 seconds.
The guy's a loser. bonus point.
Okay.
Who came second?
Am I missing something here?
No, I was just asking you who came second.
Lauren Weeks.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, okay, cool. I thought you were going to throw up, but no, she got 30-second penalties.
Bonus. No, you came third.
Okay.
Okay. Who won the most medals at the... Okay, which nation, I should say.
Okay.
Which nation won the most medals at the 2022 Winter Olympics?
I obviously just want to jump to what's seemingly the most obvious. Sorry for stalling everybody listening. I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to go with the brain. America, US.
It's not, unfortunately.
Can I have a second guess?
You can,
Is it something more rogue? China's always up there with the Summer Olympics, but I'm going to go away from them and say Japan.
No.
Okay.
Norway.
Really? Yeah,
Norway.
I can see that. Again, look at all the events of the Olympics with like speed skating, Nordic combined, which only may contribute to. Reminder, that's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
I'll give you a bonus point if you can tell me where that Winter Olympics was in 2022. We've said it enough times already today.
Come
on.
Yeah, of course I can. Beijing.
Yeah, easy. Yeah. Okay. This is the final one. Bonus point.
Yeah.
For how many gold medals Norway have won accumulatively across every single Winter Olympics?
How many?
I'm giving you a clue.
Okay.
There's been a Winter Olympics every 4 years since 1924.
So we've just crossed 100 years.
And I think the first one was in Chamonix.
Okay. That's a fun fact.
Don't quote me on it, actually. So how many gold medals? Norway.
Just for Norway.
Just for Norway. The most dominant winter sport nation ever.
So, wait, what year was it started?
1924.
That's interesting. Because we've lost 2 years. Would that have been... No, we didn't even lose 2 years over COVID. So we lost 2 years at some point. Maybe the war.
Yeah, it was. I think so. There was though. That's a good shout. There is a block on Wikipedia.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that we probably lost
that was
one
quick
or
maths.
two. Yeah.
That's a flex.
Autism.
Yeah.
So we've got 1 or 2 that we've missed. Let's say then, okay, we've got 22 Winter Olympics. Let's say they average out at 15.
If you even get close, I'm going to be really impressed.
Let's say 327 for fun.
That's quite high.
Is it?
Yeah.
That is quite high when you think about it.
That's quite high, yeah.
327 across 100 years.
You want to have another guess?
Yeah. Thanks. Let's not use brain. Let's use the athletic feel.
Yeah, nice. Knowing that was way too high.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and I'll say 113.
148. That's I mean, it's a stupid question. Like, it's a hard question.
No, that's tough. I think I've given you the same with...
There's been something similar at some point. Yeah.
For Team GB. Yeah. So yeah, fair enough. I did give you multiple choice, but it's fine.
Yeah, but you're far cleverer.
As long as you put it C, that would have been fine. I don't even know how many
I lost count, but we'll do a tally.
You feel like you got more than me. Count up your score,
even if
we
it didn't win.
Yeah.
If you weren't even counting, you feel like you got more.
I've just thought of 2 very interesting things that we didn't mention in the news. Okay. So just want to touch on them quickly.
Nice.
First of all, new world record.
Yeah.
For VO2 max.
Oh, how did we miss that?
I know. The Norwegian thing got me.
That needs to be a whole episode for sure, doesn't it?
Maybe. How's this for a presentation?
We'll get him on.
Yeah. We'll have a look at his training.
Perfect.
And we'll go through VO2 max. So for context, and I felt really dumb. For some reason in my head, there was a limit of 100 being your VO2 max. It's not out of 100. Yeah. Just the world record at the time was 96.1. Yeah. However, it has just been absolutely smashed. 101.
It's just...
I'm not going to try and, with my name recalling, nail his name, which is a Norwegian name as well. So it can only go wrong for me. Yeah. I'll come back to you next episode, potentially with that as a case study and his name nailed in pronunciation.
Yeah.
And we'll go through maybe what his training looks like. That's the first one. First of all, just wild.
Also, there's like a handful of people who have ever been in the 90s.
Yeah, it's
like superior, like super superior is like plus 80. And then there's like a handful in the 90s. And for this guy, Christian Blumenfeld.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
That was a flex. 101 was it?
101.
But was it like? It wasn't even. I'm posting this to say how good I am. Wasn't it just like?
It was just
he did a screen and someone had like zoomed in and gone, what? Holy shit!
Yeah.
That's even more of a flex. The guy's a freak.
Yeah. So that's one. And one of the things that I've got off the back of it, which I was going to mention earlier on, I think I've mentioned recently. I've been struggling training wise, been taking it a little bit easier, trying to ease my way back in because of work and all of that. Well, the big issue was that I just didn't have a written out structure. And so by having a written out program, I've actually been doing a much better training week.
Yeah.
However, straight back into the annoyances of what training looks like. And if this is a particular point in your training, you're listening to this and thinking my training is not linear, listen to this. My watch didn't track my VO2 max across the whole of January. And I'm like, it's not right. I've not put a mask on and done anything hard. But my VO2 max, the last time it measured was mid-November and it said 56. Not unhappy about it, not flexing about it on Instagram.
Yeah.
I haven't run that often. So that when I did a run to the gym today, got to the gym.
Saw that on your Strava.
VO2 max, 52.
Oh, no.
It's gone down a lot. That's not good. However...
You ran for what, like
I ran for two and a bit K there and around 2 and a bit K back. What I will say is very interesting. For me, and for some people listening, this might be really good, but for me, this is a bit of an alarming situation. 5 minutes 46 average. What was my average heart rate?
I should actually know because I saw your Strava.
Yeah.
546.
546.
I'm going to say
pretty flat as well.
158.
145, I think, for one of them, slightly higher for the one on the way home from the gym. But just for reference, that would normally have been like 120 to 125 max. I've never been like, my running training has always been less than my bike training, especially in the last year. But just for the flip side, and this is where I'm saying the training isn't linear. So I really struggled to keep my heart rate there, running what felt almost like walking for me.
Slow, yeah.
Yesterday, I was on a bike for an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I held 240 watts for an hour and 15 minutes, and I was struggling to stay in zone 2 instead of dropping into zone 1.
Wow.
My HRV...
Is this on your bike at home?
Yeah, but I've checked the calibration and the effort output versus a C2.
Yeah.
And the difference is that is supposedly, on my test, which I did 2 months ago, 5 watts less.
No.
But yesterday, I was
That's impressive.
really mentally struggling with putting out what I needed to on my legs.
Yeah.
And before you ask, I was wearing a chest strap.
Okay, cool.
Polar H10. It was legit.
Yeah.
But you can see on the graph, I'm bouncing between 116, which is where my cutoff is for zone 2 training. I was bouncing between that and 121 the entire time.
Wow. For 240 watts, that's good.
But as soon as I started thinking about high rocks racing,
Spike. Yeah.
straight
you
up,
feel
I
it.
had to be like, whoa, okay, stop.
Yeah. It's crazy that happens. That happens to me all the time. You get like
adrenaline.
overstimulated.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating. We should do, because I don't know what your training looks like at the moment. I'd be interested to like
I can show you what it is.
map out what your training looks like without having seen it.
Yeah.
Or at least we can discuss what our training looks like at the moment, because that might be of interest to some people, or probably not.
If people want to know what we look like, then you can see, and we'll compare that to.
Because usually my training is so pathetic, and I do nothing. But at the moment, my training is really good, so it's like it would be a good opportunity for us to actually like have a snapshot of what like good training looks like for us.
Okay, cool. And then just to round this podcast off with some news.
Obviously, we had to go down a rabbit hole at some point.
If you're watching this on the week that it comes out, then biggest news, if you don't pay attention to American sport, is that
He loves it.
Super Bowl champions this year are.
The Seattle Seahawks with a 29-13 win over the New England Patriots.
So that's a surprise. But yeah, I mean, Patriots back in the Super Bowl. Every other team had their chance to get in there before the Patriots return, but there they are.
Yeah.
And Seahawks, another big game. I think I mentioned on one of the previous episodes that it was lining up to just be a rerun of the first Super Bowl I ever watched.
Was Brady playing for the Patriots?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Iconic.
it was when they decided to throw a pass on the 1 yard line rather than giving it to Marshawn Lynch.
Wow.
Yeah. I would have bet my life.
To win.
They had to score to win.
Okay. But
They
they decided.
had Marshawn Lynch, who had been running all over them. And he was one of the players, for people that don't know, who wasn't on the field.
Oh, really?
No, I mean, it was offense.
Oh, fight. So it's the Seahawks.
Yes, the Seahawks were on the field. Marshawn Lynch, 1 yard line. He was in form and good enough that it was like, it's a touchdown.
Yeah.
We know you're running it, but he's going to score anyway. And they decided to pass and they threw an interception. Anyway, so Super Bowl champions.
That's good.
And so that kind of brings us to the end of that episode. If you enjoyed it, we've asked you enough times, but make sure you do actually get in touch. If we mentioned something that has ground your gears a little bit or reminded you of something that has been grinding your gears recently, make sure you send it in. We're always taking requests. We're going to be better at putting up more stories, asking for them. But anytime something annoys you, let us be your vent. And we'll include it in the next episode with or without your name. That is your choice. Charles, anything else from you?
No, I hope you enjoyed it.
Cool. If the bozo from Pure Gym is listening to this, don't. Otherwise, I hope the rest of you have a lovely, lovely week, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next episode.